How you do your self-lymphatic drainage massage for your arm lymphedema depends on the stage of your lymphedema and your goals. If you're at risk for lymphedema or have very mild swelling, you may not need to do your massage daily. But if you have heavier edema with tissue changes, such as fibrosis, you may want to do your massage more often. However, you won't know your goals unless you assess your arm. And because what your arm needs one day may not be what it needs the next, doing an arm assessment will help you determine your needs in that moment. In this video, I'll walk you through a full arm assessment like I do in my clinic that will ultimately make your self-lymphatic massage more effective. A quick self-arm assessment before you do your lymphatic drainage massage makes sense. It allows you to find out where your trouble spots are so you can work on them. In the beginning, yes, this may take a little extra time to do, but as you get into the habit of doing this, you'll become more confident and your self-assessment will take less time, but your massage will be more effective. So we'll start with some congestion areas that are common in most people. First, under the armpit. Some people describe a feeling of being a ball there when they have their arm down at their side. Others say it just looks different. It can be confusing though and difficult to tell if there is swelling there sometimes because you may have numbness after your surgery remaining. And let's face it, after a lumpectomy or mastectomy, there's been tissue removed, and that just changes how under your arm and the side of your chest looks and feels. The one big question you can ask yourself is, does it feel worse as the day goes on? Does it feel puffier? Does that ball get bigger? That's an indication that fluid might be accumulated in that region and be a potential trouble spot for you. The next area is the top of the arm, usually where the sleeve ends. Feel your non-swollen side. How does it feel compared to the swollen side? Does it feel more buoyant or dense? And how does it feel sensation-wise to you? Is it heavier? Heaviness is an indication of more fluid in the tissue before sometimes it's even seen or felt. The next area is at the inner side of the elbow. In fact, anywhere from 10 centimeters above the elbow to below it can be affected, and I find it a trouble spot for a lot of my clients. When it comes to the inner aspect of the elbow, just above it, this is where I find a lot of congestion. You may be able to see a larger visible area just at the inside of your elbow there. And when it comes to the elbow, the back of the elbow is where I find a lot of people get stuck fluid. It accumulates there, gets firmer, and when you feel it, your fingers can just sink in like you're sinking into bread dough or memory foam. The next area would be possibly the inner side of your lower arm. This is an area with common congestion for most people. And lastly, have a look at the top of your hand. Can you see your veins? How about your knuckles or your muscle tendons? Compare your swollen side with your non-swollen side. With my clients, they do tend to know intuitively where their trouble spots are. And when I feel it or do arm measurements, they're usually spot on. Now that you know where you can find the common areas where fluid gets stuck, you can move on to the next step that assesses those areas. Now, all tissue is compressible. When you press your finger into your skin, it'll bounce back. But with swelling, it can present in different ways. And the harder the tissue is to compress with your fingers, the later the stage of lymphedema. There's different ways that we can categorize edema in the tissues. We categorize it as either watery, doughy, or hard. With watery edema, it's soft, and it can be classified as pitting, which is when you press your fingers in gently, it leaves an indentation that when you release, slowly fills back in. And it can also be cooler to the touch. Watery edema can be likened to a waterbed, where fluid moves around under the surface when you press it or massage it. Early changes to the tissues can feel less watery and more like bread dough, or like a memory foam mattress when you press into it. It gently yields to the pressure and slowly returns back to shape again. For advanced stages or fibrotic changes, that doughy feel changes to more stiffer, like putty. There's more resistance to finger pressure. Hardened tissue is not compressible and does not bounce back. Okay, so we went over the congested areas, and you've just done your tissue testing to find any watery, doughy, or firm areas. Now we're going to do a pinch test. Take your thumb and first finger and place them on a spot on your arm. Now bring your fingers together and gently gather the tissue between your fingers. Can you grab a small amount of tissue between them? If you cannot, this confirms tissue congestion and underlying skin changes. Try doing this all over your arm. Is it more difficult over the congested areas? Are there any areas where you don't have any difficulty doing this? Make note of the areas that you can freely pinch the skin and those that are more difficult. This will be handy information when you start your massage. A few things to remember. Make sure when you're doing this that your arm is in a resting position. If your muscles are contracting while you're doing this, it's going to make the tissues harder to pinch. Also, it tends to be more difficult over muscle areas, such as the deltoid muscles at the top of your arm, especially if you have well-developed muscles. And remember, this is just one method in the overall assessment picture. You can make note of what you find on the PDF mapping page I've put a link for in the description box below. This can be helpful to track changes and progress that you've made. It can also tell you where you need to focus on for your lymphatic massage. You're free to make your own symbols, but I use a plus sign to mark where congestion areas exist. And you can use these plus signs on the body outline that I provided on the mapping page. You can mark down your tissue test results where you have watery, doughy, or hard edema. You can use the W for watery, D for doughy, or H for hard, or do it any way that suits you best. It may also be a good idea to write down any sensations that you have felt, where you have fullness, where the tissue is maybe cooler, where there's heaviness, and where you may have some tenderness. Tenderness can occur over scar tissue areas, and that may be an indication of some more work that you need to do. But that's a different video. If you want, you can take this to your lymphedema therapist and work with them to map your swelling. Self-assessment should always be your first order of business when getting down to your self-lymphatic massage. Because no 2 days and no 2 arms are exactly alike, lymphedema can change over time, and so should your approach. That's why a one-size-fits-all routine just doesn't cut it. Mostly what you're told about lymph drainage massage is how it moves fluid from areas that are not working well to areas that are. But there's more to it than that. It includes what I call tissue remodeling techniques, using techniques to soften firm or fibrotic areas, to make space for fluid to move. Without these techniques, the gentle strokes you've been taught may not work as well, and that can feel frustrating or make you doubt the process. When you combine movement, decongestion, and tissue remodeling, you're working smarter and will see much better results from your home massage routine. Your massage becomes more effective, more personalized, and more sustainable in the long run. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. And please let me know in the comments how you felt your home routine for self-lymph massage has been going. Have you tried some of these things? What have you found? Please like, subscribe, and share so others can see it too. And head over to my self-lymphatic drainage massage for arm lymphedema video, where I go through a full arm routine with you, including your self-assessment. I look forward to helping you work smarter, not harder, when it comes to your lymphedema maintenance routines.